Peacock is editing out moments from the WWE network. And I know straight away you're like, oh, they're deleting our history. But who rewrites history more than WWE? So that kind of creates some kind of paradox. What you can't argue is when it comes to taste. Sometimes even I see old wrestling clips, I'm like, oh my gosh, what the hell did we do? So imagine what somebody who doesn't watch wrestling must think. 2 specific incidents have already gone, and yes, we'll talk about that in just 1 second. And basically what's about to happen here is that YouTube and Blu-ray or DVD are about to become your new best friend. There they are. But let's face it, that is not as easy as booting up your WWE-centric app. It just makes me a really, really lazy person. I am also 678 years old because I referred to it as booting up. A bunch of other moments may be about to disappear though. Why? I just explained why, but I'll do it anyway. And the real answer to that question I asked before the intro is because they're really, really offensive. I mean, let's go back to 2005. This one has already been culled, and I'm not that surprised because it is the moment when Vince McMahon walked up to John Cena, dropped the N-word, which Booker T observed and then had to react like he was totally shocked. I don't know why we did it then. I can only presume that McMahon was like, oh, I can get away with anything, pal, and I'll prove it to you. And somehow he kind of did. But again, if you're the employee at Peacock and you're going through all of this and you see that, you are probably going to take your finger and hit the delete button. The other content shelved is Bad News Brown versus Roddy Piper from WrestleMania 4. And during the pre-match promo to this, Piper had painted half of his face and half of his body black, so straight away you should be saying out loud, why did we do this? What the hell were we thinking? And yeah, I know different times and all that, but we shouldn't have been doing it back then, and we absolutely shouldn't be doing it now. And on a much shallower level and on a much more insignificant level, it doesn't do much for the public perception of professional wrestling. So what else could possibly disappearing? I mean, we've already done 2, so we are now officially on to number 8. And in at number 8 is none other than Katie Vick. Now we'd have to talk to Peacock and see how they feel about men pretending to hump dead bodies, but my gut feeling tells me they ain't gonna be too happy about it. Triple H having sex with a mannequin also happened in a real funeral parlor, and we also have to marry this up with the fact that the story told us Kane crashed his car because he was drunk, killed this poor girl, and his solution to the problem was to perform some necrophilia. Even saying this makes me upset. I mean, who was it for? Those who are turned on by the deceased? Look, Peacock, if you are watching this, delete it. I don't care. I'm a super duper wrestling fan. Delete it, bury it. I never need to see it again. It is genuine trash. Anyway, moving on to number 7. A lot of people forget about this feud, but everything that happened between Booker T, Sharmell, and Kurt Angle, I mean, flub me. It's hard to even talk about here because if I did describe some of the things that we did see, I would feel super guilty. And even Kurt Angle has come out and said, yeah, I didn't really like that one. I don't think we should have done it. Essentially, he was stalking Sharmell, but this just became so creepy with Kurt putting her into some positions that looked like he was about to have sex with her. Wrestling is crap. There is so much uncomfortable gyrating too, and nobody has ever said that sentence since the beginning of the world. So it's just terrible, it's straight up bad, and once more, if it does go from the WWE network, when I actually sit down and think about it, I never need to see it again. And it's the same for number 6, Paul Heyman, Vince McMahon, and that promo. Another one that you forget until you've seen it. Once more, I cannot go through detail by detail what was said here, because I would have to ring up my parents and apologize. But all you need to know is that McMahon is very, very upset with The Undertaker. He hates him so much he wants to kill the dead man, which is actually kind of a paradox. And by the time he's done, you are well aware that he wants to do some terrible things to The Undertaker's family. I mean, Vince mentions that terrorists are going to burn down his house, that his kids are going to be kidnapped. And just to wrap this up, that isn't even the worst of it. Imagine someone scripted this for you. I'd have to go home. I may even have to quit. For some reason, Vince McMahon sounds like Gollum from Lord of the Rings for the entire thing. It's all like, oh, I'm President Undertaker. Mid-2000s era WWE is absolutely nuts. Number 5 is then The Undertaker hanging the Big Boss Man. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, well, I don't actually think Peacock would pull this, and I'm kind of inclined to agree with them, but it is still quite the visual. However, I never overlook an opportunity to talk about this because it's just so funny. I mean, 1, why did The Undertaker kill the Big Boss Man? And 2, how did he just turn up on TV after and go, hey, it's me, the Big Boss Man, I'm all right now? but it actually does tie into the lore of WWE that you can get murdered and you can come back. Happened to AJ Styles, happened to Rey Mysterio, happened to Aleister Black. So that's the world you want to be in, should you wish to be immortal. It is quite disturbing though, because you do see Rey Traylor with a noose around his neck, just swinging from side to side. And if you don't believe me, once again, go and show it to a non-wrestling fan, record their response, and send it to me. And as we move on to the next one, number 4, I kind of hope that I'm wrong, but potentially everything featuring Brian Pillman. A true genius when it came to wrestling and a master of sort of manipulating kayfabe, he was so good at playing the loose cannon character that he convinced WCW to let him out of his contract for real just to push a story forward, and then screwed them over and signed with the WWF instead. When he busted into Stone Cold Steve Austin's house with a gun though, well, I mean, even back then, people were actually ringing up going, "This is terrible, this is disgusting, you shouldn't have done this." And WWF felt the need to apologize. I mean, today it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but back then it absolutely was. People genuinely thought Pillman was going to kill the rattlesnake. I mean, the real issue was that it was just so much more hard-hitting than what the promotion had been doing. This happened toward the back end of 1996, and in May, we still had Juke the Dumpster Drozy on TV, so I kind of understand why the 180 shocked a lot of people. Awful language rears its head again at number 3, and this is one that should not only be wiped from the WWE Network, but it should probably be wiped from life. I am, of course, talking about the words Jerry Lawler used when he was feuding with Goldust in 1997. I'm not going to repeat that here. It should never be repeated anywhere. It should never be said again. And the fact that Jerry felt the need to put flaming before it just makes it even worse. I mean, it's terrible, it's terrible. I'll delete it, Peacock. Give me a call, I'll do it for free. I'll go, meh, and I'll push the button. And in at 2, Muhammad Hassan. And you don't need me to explain this to you. It went so badly in 2005. Not only did WWE have to write the character off TV, but the guy playing Muhammad Hassan never even got a chance to do anything else within wrestling. So that sums up the story, but it's got everything from terrorism to garrote wire. Once more, how do you see this if your job is to find things that may cause some controversy and write in the good list, "Oh, I found this stuff from 2005 and I think it's alright." Wasn't alright, it went completely kaput. And finally, in at number 1, we end with that time when Hawk tried to kill himself or tried to commit suicide. I remember seeing this for the first time when I was a kid and probably going out loud, I don't really tune into pro wrestling to be entertained by this. But in 1998, Hawk was so despondent that Droz had replaced him in the Legion of Doom, he did indeed climb to the top of the Titantron and apparently throw himself off of it. I mean, what the hell? It was also played out like maybe Droz had pushed him because we had to have some kind of suspense there. And we also did some kind of visual effect where you saw the silhouette of Hawk fall to the floor. I mean, this was absolute garbage. It also played into Hawk's real-life personal issues that he was going through, and you should never exploit that. And just to make it even worse, Droz came out and said that he had been pushing Hawk's drug habit because then he knew he wouldn't be able to wrestle and he could be officially the new member of the Legion of Doom. Even talking about this makes me feel bad, and it was a huge reason why Hawk and Animal left the company. They didn't think it was very fair that we were taking all of this stuff and merging it with the narrative, and they were 100% right. So once again, even I am taking the finger, deleted. I don't know why that's my deleted noise, but hey, this is just where we got to. And of course, you'll still be able to watch this stuff on the internet, or like I say, DVDs, Blu-rays, maybe you've even got VHSs. But I feel like when we do discuss it like this, and you take a step back and you survey the situation, you can kind of understand why somebody at Peacock would be doing what they're doing. Know of any other WWE moments that may be about to vanish forever? Make sure you let us know about them in the comments below. And my word, there's going to be thousands. Then please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com where you can stay up to date with the latest wrestling news. Follow us on social media because it's 2021. Why would you do anything else? And there's videos around my head. Give them a click. My name is Stein for What Culture. Thank you for joining me as always, and I'll see ya when I see ya.